Wild boar, from a wild animal, now turned into a real disaster. Reports of hundreds of wild boars descending on residential areas were increasing. The local authorities could no longer stand idly by. They stepped in. This time, we participated in a large-scale wild boar hunting campaign organized by the government. With full weapons, modern equipment, and support from the rangers, we entered the hills, considered the epicenter of the wild boar crisis. Starting early in the morning, marching up the hills, where surveillance cameras detected a herd of more than 30 wild boars advancing toward the fields below. The terrain on the hills was very complicated, but also an advantage for ambushes. The group split up, quietly advancing toward the herd. When the distance was only about 50 meters, the signal to fire was given. The first shots rang out. 3 wild boars fell on the spot. The others ran away in panic, but it was too late. Within a few minutes, 4 more were taken down. An impressive start to today's campaign. Continuing to move, we discovered another group of wild boars running up the hillside. We immediately gave chase. Moving through mountainous terrain was not easy, but once we entered this battle, no one had any intention of giving up. Any target that entered the scope was taken down by the skilled shooters in the team. The others continued to run, but could not escape our observation from above. 5 minutes later, the entire herd of boars was annihilated. Advancing deeper into the forest, we encountered a giant wild boar. We were all too familiar with this situation. Without hesitation, we calmly aimed and shot straight at its head. The bullet hit right in the middle of its forehead, decisively taking down the target. At this time, our teammates were equally tense. Many other wild boars were discovered, and then a fierce chase took place. The sound of gunfire mixed with the screams of the pigs. This was the price they had to pay for what they had caused. As the sun rose, we entered a dense forest, which was said to be the lair of the largest herd of wild boars in the area. Suddenly, a wild boar jumped out of the bushes and charged straight towards the ambush location. One of the team members kept firing. However, the boar kept changing direction and charging. Without thinking much, we raised our guns and shot when it was only 3 meters away. The fatal shot caused the boar to collapse right in front of me. The others saw this and started to run away in panic, and we immediately took the opportunity to kill 6 more. Today was a lucky hunting day. It didn't take us long to find the next targets. Changing tactics, we would attack from the top of the mountain, where we had the perfect view and shooting angle. When the herd of boars started to pour out of the trees, we quickly took them down one by one, turning this area into a real battlefield. After a long day of fighting, the whole team was exhausted, but their fighting spirit did not decrease. Another herd of wild boars was discovered. The whole team advanced, approaching from many directions. When the herd discovered us, they panicked and tried to run away, but with the tight encirclement tactic, none of them could escape. After 10 minutes of tense struggle, the entire herd of boars was finally taken down. A few lucky targets escaped our sights, but we quickly found them because of the traces they left behind. Gunfire echoed once again, completely taking down the target. We stood on the hilltop, looking down at the battlefield below. A day of hunting was a great success. With dozens of wild boars killed, the campaign has saved hundreds of hectares of farmland from the ravages of wild boars. But this is just the beginning. The wild boar population is still very large, and the fight is certainly not over. The local government has seen the importance of controlling the wild boar population, and in the coming time, there will be more hunting campaigns to protect crops and people.
These are the most thrilling wild boar hunting moments ever. Each precise shot, breathtaking chase, and unexpected situations that make everyone's heart skip a beat. Are you ready? Let's explore the top wild boar hunting moments with ADP Earth right now. Unbelievable. Just one bullet, accurate to the millimeter, right in the middle of the wild boar's forehead. A top shot that gives everyone who watches it goosebumps. Not every wild boar is easy to take down. This is a real monster. Big, fast, and extremely dangerous. But the hunter was in no hurry. He waited, moved smartly, and then... a brave shot. A series of kills that cannot be taken off. Unbelievable. Even after being shot, the wild boar still tried to get up with the intention of attacking the hunter. So dangerous. But at that moment, the pack of hunting dogs surrounded, barking loudly, forcing the beast into a corner. This was a relentless chase. The wild boar sensed danger and ran forward at full speed. But the hunter did not give up easily. He accelerated, chose the right shooting point, and pulled the trigger. The wild boar still refused to yield. Continuous shooting. What a beautiful shot. A situation not for the faint-hearted. The wild boar suddenly changed direction, charging straight at the hunter. In just a split second, he dodged, turned 180 degrees, and immediately shot. Oh, unbelievable. Waiting is an art, and this hunter demonstrated it perfectly. He was patient, barely moving, blending into nature. And then, when the wild boar came into range, just one shot, accurate to the centimeter, the wild boar collapsed, rolling down the hillside. The wild boar panicked, weaving through the dense trees, trying to escape. However, the hunter did not allow that to happen, adjusted his aim, and then pulled the trigger decisively. An impressive kill. Hunting wild boars is not just a one-man job. This is a moment that shows the power of teamwork. The hunters coordinated perfectly, surrounded, cornered, and took down a huge herd of wild boars. What do you think of this ambush tactic? It's amazing, right? Too fast, too precise. A dramatic close-range kill. Wow, the hunter calculated precisely, just a second of delay, and this wild boar would have disappeared from sight. Look at how he kept calm and waited for the golden opportunity. It's amazing. This hunter's shooting skills made me admire him. Even the long distance and harsh weather conditions could not trouble him. So we have reviewed the most dramatic moments of hunting wild boars. Which scene impressed you the most? Don't forget to leave a comment below and click like and subscribe for ADP Earth so you don't miss the next exciting videos. wild boars are no longer just a concern for farmers. Now, they are causing nightmares all over the world, especially in the United States. Wild boars not only invade land, but also threaten communities, destroy crops, and endanger people. And today, we are on the road again, continuing the dramatic battle with this animal. Follow our team of hunters on their wild boar hunting journey and witness the thrilling moments of the chase. Early in the morning, we were at the edge of the forest, ready for a challenging hunt. We went deep into the dense forest. Just a few minutes later, the hunting dogs picked up the scent of the prey. Their barks echoed throughout the area, signaling that the target was very close. Following the sound, I headed towards a clearing between the trees. Through the foliage, I saw a herd of wild boars running in panic, trying to escape the fierce pursuit of the hunting dogs. Quickly hiding behind a large tree trunk, I raised my gun, aiming at the largest wild boar in the herd. It was running fast, but I waited patiently for the right moment. When it was clearly in my sight, I took a deep breath, held the barrel of the gun steady, and pulled the trigger decisively. The loud sound of the gun echoed in the deep forest. A fatal shot. This was not the first time we had set foot in this forest. As experienced hunters, we knew the habits and movements of the wild boars well. Therefore, in this area, many observation posts have been built, becoming ideal positions to help us monitor prey and hunt effectively. Choosing a nearby observation post, I quickly climbed up, stabilized my position, and was ready to wait. From above, my vision covered a large area, making it easy to detect even the smallest movements. Suddenly, a black shadow rushed past right in front of my eyes. Reflexively, I tightened the trigger. The wild boar was hit, stopped, and collapsed on the side of the road. Not wasting the opportunity, I quickly turned the gun to the left. At a distance of about 200 m, another wild boar was trying to run away. Taking a deep breath, I aligned my aim and pulled the trigger. This time, the target continued to be taken down neatly. As I left my hiding place, the quiet atmosphere was suddenly broken by a loud noise. Suddenly, from between the trees, a wild boar rushed forward with red eyes full of anger and a dizzying speed. It seemed like it had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Although it was a dangerous situation, with my extensive experience in hunting, I did not panic. Everything seemed to happen very slowly. I quickly realized the situation and calmly raised my gun. Aiming precisely at the vital point, I pulled the trigger without hesitation. The bullet hit the wild boar's head, causing it to collapse immediately. The number of wild boars was increasing. They appeared everywhere, surrounding my hiding place. Every movement in the forest made me highly alert. It felt like the whole forest was bustling with the presence of the herd of pigs. That was the opportunity one was waiting for. Everything was ready. Gun in hand, bullets loaded. I was just waiting for the opportunity to fire. One shot, one kill. Gunshots rang out continuously. Each wild boar fell mercilessly.
Good.
After taking down the herd of wild boars at the observation post, I didn't stop. The forest next door was still uncontrolled, and that was where I continued my hunting journey. I moved cautiously, avoiding revealing my position. Every step was carefully calculated. As soon as I entered the forest next door, the pack of hunting dogs that had been lying in wait began to bark loudly, signaling that the prey was not far away. With the support of the dogs, I easily took down 4 more wild boars, increasing my number of spoils.
Yes.
As soon as the gunshot rang out, a few wild boars in the pack realized the danger and hurriedly looked for a way to escape. However, I had already grasped their every move, and they could not fool me. I immediately adjusted my position and pulled the trigger. However, the bullet did not hit a vital spot, so they still had the ability to escape. However, its body was damaged, and its ability to move was severely reduced. In the end, it could not escape its fate of being destroyed. In the midst of the chaos, the remaining wild boars managed to find a way to escape, disappearing from our sight. But we were not worried. With the support of the hunting dogs, we quickly regained the initiative. After a short time, the dogs found their hiding place. The barking of the dogs echoed throughout the forest. I adjusted my sights, identifying each panicked prey within sight. And immediately, I pulled the trigger. The last wild boars were taken down, unable to escape. Wild boars, a wild animal that not only causes huge economic losses, but also threatens the environment and ecosystem. They reproduce at a dizzying speed, destroy crops, devastate forests, and cause heavy losses to farmers. In particular, they also have the ability to adapt quickly to all living conditions, making their control a huge challenge. Therefore, a comprehensive plan has been drawn up to prevent the invasion of this animal. The plan was implemented not only based on weapons, but also on the sophistication in setting traps and tracking the movements of wild boars. Everything was ready, and the dramatic hunt began. That day, we arrived at the meeting point. This was a large area of land where wild boars often appeared. I began to check the surrounding area, looking for traces of wild boars. Large, deep pig footprints imprinted on the wet ground led me to an area near a dense bush. This was where they often visited. After identifying the familiar paths of the pigs, I decided to set traps at these strategic points. The traps were cleverly designed, effectively capturing wild boars without causing harm to them. To attract them, I used corn and wheat as bait. The scent of these baits is irresistible to the wild boars. To ensure that the surveillance goes smoothly, I also placed some infrared cameras near the traps so that I can observe the movements of the wild boars at night. Once the traps were set, I moved to the neighboring area, where I could easily observe any movements without being detected. The whole team sat waiting, concentrating, preparing for the next attack. Using the remaining bait, I spread them out on an open field, then climbed a nearby tree to hide and wait. In my hand was the Henry carbine, a gun that stood out thanks to its fast-firing mechanism, ease of use, and powerful damage. 1 hour passed. At this time, I discovered a mature wild boar weighing about 90 kilograms approaching. Little did it know that this would be its last meal. I did not hesitate, raised my gun, aimed accurately, and pulled the trigger. The shot rang out. The wild boar collapsed to the ground. The remaining ones panicked and ran away, running in different directions. The cornfields were plowed, the stubble was down, and the wild boar tracks were imprinted on the ground. They were no longer afraid of humans. The wild boars were becoming more and more daring, pouring into the fields during the day, causing havoc without control. But today their fun would end. We, a professional hunting group with weapons in hand, accompanied by a pack of skilled hunting dogs, officially began the hunt. The pigs would pay the price. We followed the footprints leading to a lush cornfield. The wild boars were leisurely eating what was left after the night's sweep. Anger was rising. We couldn't bear it any longer, immediately raised our guns, adjusted our sights. We took a deep breath. The pack of hunting dogs took action, surrounding and forcing the pigs away from the cornfield. We were waiting. When they appeared in our sights, we quickly pulled the trigger. This was the price they had to pay. The other two tried to rush towards us, but it was too late. We had barely moved a few hundred meters when suddenly the tall grass ahead rustled violently. A wild boar burst out, mud flying in all directions as it dashed away in a panic. We couldn't miss the opportunity. Hearts pounding, we quickly took aim. In the blink of an eye, the bullet sliced through the air, striking the target dead on. The boar staggered a few steps before crashing to the ground. Quick and clean. The hunt was far from over, and we knew greater challenges lay ahead. My God, now we understand why this field was left in ruins. The wild boars were too numerous, and their destructive power was devastating. No sooner had we taken down one than another emerging, giving us no time to rest. Luckily, we were well prepared. With a single decision shot, the target was immediately eliminated. The team quickly split into smaller units, thoroughly scanning the entire field before moving to the next location. No boar could be left behind. See that? Just as we expected, some wild boars were still hiding, waiting for a chance to escape. But this time, they wouldn't slip past our eyes. The hunting dogs barked loudly, signaling a target. Immediately, the team rushed in. One wild boar was chased into an open field, no way out. Another curled up in the bushes, thinking it could hide. But no, all were taken down under our gunfire. After dealing with the pigs in the field, we moved to the nearby hill. Up on the hillside, the wild boar's footprints were still imprinted on the moist soil. They were nearby. A female pig was leisurely leading her piglets along the hillside. We immediately opened fire. One accurate shot causing the adult to fall. The remaining pigs turned around and ran away in panic. The pack of hunting dogs immediately followed. This time, we would completely destroy them, even the smallest ones. But ignoring its fellows who were scrambling to find a way to escape, this wild boar still leisurely immersed itself in the swamp, enjoying the fun. Little did it know that it was the last time. A fatal shot. After days of destruction, the amount of food the pigs found in the fields made them extremely fat and plump. From our ambush position, we waited silently. 10 minutes passed. There was a wild boar coming here. As soon as we finished speaking, a black shadow suddenly appeared from the bushes. We were waiting. The wild boar was hit by 2 bullets and fell to the ground. To the right, another target was running towards a valley. We needed to stop it immediately. This wild boar was running quite fast, but was still not as fast as our bullets. Another target. He was able to escape the dog's pursuit, but had no idea that we were waiting ahead. A perfect kill that came as a surprise. The sun began to set. The sunset dyed the hills red. The wild boars were almost completely annihilated. We discovered another herd of wild boars. All of them were adults. We decided to fight fast, win fast. We divided up the targets. I shot down the biggest one, attacked and chased at the same time, not losing sight of the target. At this time, my teammates opened fire continuously, taking down 2 more wild boars. A few remaining ones tried to run, but could not escape the net of bullets. This was truly a memorable hunting trip. Feral pigs, with a population of up to 6 million, have become a serious threat, spreading in at least 35 states in the United States, including Florida. Herds of feral pigs destroy natural ecosystems, plowing up the habitats of native animals and reducing biodiversity. Not only that, they are also the source of many dangerous viruses and bacteria, spreading diseases such as hepatitis, pneumonia, and many other infectious diseases, posing a risk to the health of humans and livestock. Faced with this alarming situation, the people of Florida did not stand idly by. They implemented many drastic measures to control the number of wild pigs, of which hunting is an effective solution. Last week, I and a few friends decided to participate in a wild pig hunt. About 1 kilometer from where we live is a large hill where many types of plants and wild fruits are concentrated, an ideal food source for wild boars. This is the opportunity for us to carry out our hunting plan, both protecting the environment and controlling the number of these pests. As soon as we set foot on the hillside, we discovered the first targets. A herd of wild boars was wandering around looking for food. Excitement filled my heart. I quickly got into position, carefully preparing for the attack. When I had accurately aimed at the largest wild boar in the herd, I resolutely pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, and the first spoils were ours. My companions also quickly joined in. They spread out, closely coordinated, and followed the tracks of the escaping wild boars. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the forest, mixed with the sound of hurried footsteps. Although we were not professional hunters, we tried our best and killed quite a few destructive wild boars. This was not just a hunt, but also a practical action to protect the area from the destruction of this animal. The battle became more intense than ever when the wild boars panicked and ran away. They rushed away, hiding under the dense canopy of trees, taking advantage of their familiarity with the terrain and their agile, cunning instincts to escape our pursuit. I held my gun firmly, my eyes fixed on the target. When a wild boar appeared in my sights, I immediately took action. Shots rang out, accurate and decisive. Several more wild boars were taken down, but I knew the battle was not over yet. The footsteps of my teammates echoed throughout the forest, mixed with the continuous sound of gunfire. We coordinated closely, not giving any of them a chance to escape. With each passing second, the tension reached its peak, but each small victory added more motivation to continue the fight. However, the sunset was fading, signaling that time was running out. We knew we had to return before the forest was completely covered in darkness. After collecting the spoils, the group decided to return, not to end it, but to prepare for a new challenge, night hunting. Night falls. The forest is immersed in silence. Equip yourself with a thermal scope, a tool to observe wild boars in the dark. Choose a discreet location, but large enough to cover the entire area. time passes slowly, as if it has stopped. An hour passed in tense silence. Suddenly, a movement from the edge of the forest caught the group's attention immediately. Through the thermal scope, we discovered a herd of wild boars leisurely foraging, unaware of the danger approaching. Without hesitation, we suddenly opened fire. The sound of gunfire tore through the night. The herd of wild boars panicked, but did not have time to react. They fell one by one under the precise, powerful bullets. When we thought the hunt was about to end, from the open space, new targets appeared. The wild boars were bigger and stronger, but they could not escape the sights. The whole group opened fire simultaneously, each bullet fired as if deciding fate. One shot, one kill. In the dim light of the night, I spotted a few wild boars trying to escape, but I would not allow that to happen. My hunting instincts rose. I was determined not to let it escape my sights. In the distance, another pair of wild boars were still chatting, seemingly unaware that their fellows had been exterminated. They were immersed in the sweetness of love, but I knew what would happen if this love affair ended well. A new generation of saboteurs would be born, causing more damage to this land. I couldn't let that happen. I adjusted the scope, aiming straight at the target. A perfect shot rang out, ending everything before it was too late. Silence fell over the forest again, signaling the end of the campaign. At the end of the trip, I felt proud and satisfied. We had contributed to protecting the crops, minimizing the damage caused by wild boars. The video ends here. Did you feel excited about today's trip? Leave your comments in the comment section, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to watch more dramatic hunts. Goodbye and see you again. Wild boars, a wild animal that not only causes huge economic losses, but also threatens the environment and ecosystem. They reproduce at a dizzying speed, destroy crops, devastate forests, and cause heavy losses to farmers. In particular, they also have the ability to adapt quickly to all living conditions, making their control a huge challenge. Therefore, a comprehensive plan has been drawn up to prevent the invasion of this animal. The plan was implemented not only based on weapons, but also on the sophistication in setting traps and tracking the movements of wild boars. Wild boars reproduce quickly and have no natural predators, so their numbers increased uncontrollably. When food sources were scarce in winter, they were forced to seek out areas where humans lived, causing heavy damage to crops and livestock. Not only that, some individuals became aggressive, attacking people. To overcome this situation, in addition to controlled hunting, villagers also need to take measures to protect crops, such as building strong fences, using traps properly, or raising hunting dogs to guard. Local authorities can support by granting hunting licenses during the breeding season to maintain population balance. This year's winter is more severe than ever. White snow covered the mountain slopes. The cold seeped into every layer of clothing. We, a group of experienced hunters, received a call for help from the villagers. The wild boars were becoming more and more rampant, destroying the farm. We could not let this situation continue, so we immediately made a plan to destroy this threat. Early in the morning, we were at the foot of the mountain. Together with our teammates and elite hunting dogs, following the trail, we discovered a herd of wild boars digging under the tree canopy. A few individuals separated from the herd and wandered around. These would be the first spoils of the day. Even the slightest noise could cause them to scatter, so each gun was raised in silence. The first shot rang out, taking down a large wild boar with shaggy fur that was digging under the tree. Then there were some other wild boars wandering on the hillside. The gunshots rang out. The remaining wild boars gathered into a large herd and then ran away one after another. However, from this position, I had grasped their movement direction, adjusting the scope, aiming the gun at the leader boar. The gunshots had just ended when the target was taken down. Continuing deeper into the forest, we discovered another herd of wild boars. It seemed that they were enjoying the warm sunlight in the cold winter. At a distance of 500 m, if we did not observe carefully, we would not have been able to recognize them. Because they were lying motionless, the color of their fur blended with the color of the ground, creating a perfect camouflage. Similar to the previous times, our target was the leader boar. At this distance, we needed to calculate carefully not to make any mistakes. The gunshot rang out. The bullet stuck straight into the target. The wild boar screamed in pain and then ran away in panic with its herd. At the same time, the group members also opened fire, taking down many other targets. A wild boar took advantage of the chaos to escape. When we discovered and attacked, it was too late. At this time, it had disappeared from sight. Following the trail, we headed towards a nearby bush. The head-on confrontation happened in an instant. The bullet left the barrel, the boar roared, and then the space returned to silence. The target was taken down, but the group remained on high alert. Advancing deeper into the center of the mountains, the wind blew, making the atmosphere more tense. Do you see the hillside opposite? It's a wild boar. A precise pull of the trigger, another spoil of war for today's trip. It seemed that we had found their lair. Not just one, but many other wild boars were found by us in the surrounding areas. Determined to destroy them all, we split into small groups, ambushing them from many directions. The sudden attack left the wild boars unable to react. Most of them were taken down by our guns. This time, we changed our tactics, predicting the direction of the herd of pigs and intercepting them at the bottom of the valley. As expected, they appeared. A rain of bullets fell, for wild pigs fell while their comrades were luckier and successfully escaped. It was getting dark. The remaining wild pigs were panicking and looking for a way to escape, but I followed closely behind. After many hours of intense fighting, the whole team finally completed the mission, destroying the entire herd of wild pigs. The great spoils of war that day made us forget our fatigue and motivated us to fight on the next hunting trips. Did you know that a seemingly harmless animal is becoming a global nightmare? Wild boars, the silent destroyer, are causing a series of serious problems from Europe, America to Asia. They not only destroy ecosystems, erode soil, destroy crops, but also spread diseases and threaten ecological balance. Can we control this storm called wild boars? Or will they continue to dominate rural areas, national forests, and suburban areas? The answer is definitely no. As a hunter, I will not allow that to happen. The dawn is beginning to shine through the trees. I am ready for today's hunting trip, carrying the Boar 4X Marrow, a loyal companion in many previous trips. Beside me was a pack of elite hunting dogs, dogs that were familiar with this challenging task. As I was moving on the small road leading up the hill, I discovered strange signs in the gardens along the road. Large footprints were imprinted on the damp ground. The surrounding trees were damaged. I signaled the hunting dogs to stop and check the area. They quickly sniffed, barking loudly to signal that they had discovered the target. The barking led me to a nearby garden. In the middle of the bushes, an adult wild boar appeared. It had shiny black fur, weighed about 100 kilograms, and was gnawing on the tree roots. When it realized the presence of the dogs, it immediately ran away, rushing straight across the road to find a hiding place. At this moment, I raised my gun, calmly aimed and shot. A bullet hit the opponent's neck, and just a few seconds later, the wild boar collapsed. Without wasting any time, I continued hunting with the dogs for the next target. The dog's barking made the wild boar panic, trying to find a way to escape. I quickly moved forward, choosing a favorable position to intercept. When the wild boar suddenly rushed out of the bushes, I was ready. A precise shot hit the head, ending its life instantly. As if given more motivation, I and the dogs headed towards a hillside where the tracks of a larger herd of wild boars had been discovered. About 5 wild boars were gathered on the opposite slope, seemingly unaware of our presence. The first gunshot rang out, causing the herd of wild boars to panic and scatter. The chase became tense as I had to follow each target closely. Seizing the opportunity, I aimed accurately, chose the critical positions, and took down all 5 wild boars in a split second. Continuing the mission, we discovered another herd of wild boars lurking on the hilltop in the distance, seemingly sensing the pursuit and trying to escape. The distance of nearly 300 m was not too big of a problem for me. I quickly adjusted the scope, took a deep breath, and kept my heart rate steady. Through the lens, I chose a large male wild boar with long, curved tusks, a challenging target. 12. The gunshot rang out, breaking the silence. The bullet penetrated the thick fur and hit the left shoulder of the boar. It howled in pain, but its survival instinct made it rush forward. Quickly regaining focus, I pulled the trigger repeatedly. Although agile and flexible, the wild boar could not escape the fierce attack. I immediately moved towards the nearby bushes where the wild boar was hiding from the pursuit. Every step was cautious, because any carelessness could turn the situation around. When I was only a few meters away from the dense bushes, a roar rang out, full of challenge. The wild boar suddenly rushed out, its bloodshot eyes and sharp tusks pointing straight at me. Without hesitation, I quickly raised my gun and fired another shot that hit its chest. The powerful bullet made the beast stop, its rapid breathing gradually weakening. A long day ended. I had taken down more than 10 wild boars. Although tired, I felt satisfied with the results. The large, ferocious animals were now lying quietly on the ground, marking a successful hunt.